New poll numbers for President Joe Biden are now rock bottom, according to one pollster. There's a whole slew of bad news out for the Biden administration. Of course, that is in addition to the global news. That's bad news for everybody. But it's now impacting his poll numbers. And so we're going to look at them. NPR is reporting this, says a majority says Biden's first year was a failure, according to a new poll, which is obviously true if you've been here on this channel. I can't think of anything that's really been successful, but there's a whole slew of problems that the rest of America is seeing as well. It says rising inflation, a continuing pandemic, a foreign policy misstep in Afghanistan, add Ukraine soon, and Democratic infighting all marred President Biden's first year, according to a new majority of people. In all, 56% said Biden's first year was a failure versus just 39% who said it was a success. And what's more, 54% said he's not even filling his campaign promises. 52% said he's done more to divide the country than to unite it, despite uniting the country being a pillar of his campaign run. And obviously true, right? It was very sort of tedious to listen to him come out and tell us to all be unified and care about each other as he was castigating his political opponents and making sure that he is empowering, different bodies like the January 6th Select Committee to go after certain people and kind of just doing a bunch of terrible things that aren't working out too well for him. Overall, the people agree. It says here, would you describe President Biden's first year in office as a success or failure? And you can see we can break this down by the parties. Democrats still, for some diluted reason, still say 80% of them say, yeah, no, this is great. Everything's great. Afghanistan was perfect. Ukraine's looking great. Inflation, not a big deal at all. Love the masks. Love the mandates. It's all working out well. Now, only 15% of them say it's a failure, and 4% are still a little bit unsure about that. Republicans, the exact opposite. 91% of them say, yeah, this is all horrible. 7% like, yeah, this is pretty good, which is amazing that it's that high. A small percent that they don't even put in here is, what is that? It's got to be 2%. Unsure. Independents, though, this is what's killing Biden. 66% are waking up and saying, yep, disaster. 28% still on board with the Dems, saying this is all good stuff. But it's trending pretty much down. And this was only conducted up until February 21st on this graphic, right? So those numbers are going to continue to sort of, I think, go down because the Biden administration is failing on Ukraine as well. The president clinging to just a 39% approval number, 36% for the handling of the economy, 47% for Corona. Just 30% say U.S. is headed in the right direction. Not good. President Biden is, of course, preparing for the formal State of the Union address very soon. But Lee Miringoff says, these are rock bottom numbers. It's about as low as you're going to see him, right? It's not going to go any further. Why? Well, it's because Democrats, right, are just not going to change. They're just like, I'm a Democrat. My president's amazing. Donald Trump, I'm still angry about him, even though it's a long time ago. We're still mad about him. So they're just going to stick to it. Now, the people are recognizing inflation, major problem, 38% saying it should be Biden's top priority, way above any other issues. And I've got a slide on this one coming up shortly, but way above any other issues. 11% say the pandemic should be the top priority, but they're still sort of acting like it's number one. Voting laws, Dems are concerned about. Foreign policy, 10%, and crime, another 10%. But everybody is feeling it in the pocketbooks, obviously. Rise in foreign policy is another issue. Again, here it's bad news. Just 34% approve of how the Ukraine situation is being handled, while 50% disapprove. And that came before Vlad invaded Ukraine, right? So I think it's actually gotten worse for him. Not positive how the polls are going to sort of rebound on that, but the 39% approval rating is the lowest in his presidency. You can see this came over from NPR PBS, the New Hour Mars poll. And it sounds like they didn't take any polls in January or February, but they did in February. Obviously, this is February, but it is late in February. And so you can see just a plummet down here from, I don't know what number that would have been at, but, higher than 39. So the maybe 41. So it's still trending down for Biden. And NPR says it's about intensity, real problems. Independents and suburban voters, they just don't have any intensity anymore. Just 29% of independents now approve of the job. 64, more than double, disapprove. And this is a crucial swing group sliding away from Biden in the past 6 months or so. 38% of the respondents who live in the suburbs approve. This is a big problem for them ahead of the 2022 midterms. double-digit decline with suburban women, right? All those suburban moms that didn't like that mean locker room talking Trump. That has plummeted 47% to 45%. And then compounding his problems on top of that, strong intensity of disapproval against Biden. About as high as the share who strongly disapproved of Trump. But unlike Trump, Biden is lacking intensity of support. Okay, so it's like both have similar overall numbers, but Trump, the people who were behind Trump were really, really behind him. Biden's not so much. Those suburban moms, the people who pushed him over the end zone, the end goal, not so much in his camp anymore. All of that is sort of reverting away as they continue to see him fail. A couple other reports, this one coming over from The Hill, says Biden's job approval hits a new low. This one was published on February 25th. Says President Biden's approval rating hit a new low of 38%. 21% say they somewhat approve. 17% say they strongly approve. Findings come as Biden grapples with the violent Russian invasion, as well as record high inflation stateside. On the eve of the State of the Union, the guy Mark Penn, who wrote a lot of books about Trump and others, on the eve of his State of the Union, the president has hit a new low, blaming inflation and economic anxiety. Says the president is now underwater on every top domestic and foreign policy issue that you can see. Here's what it looks like when you sort of break down the issues into a bar chart. Inflation clearly at the top. I mean, it's not even close, which I think is a major miscalculation for the Democrats. I mean, they went all in on COVID. Their base was all COVID all the time. They're going to have to reverse a lot of that now. And the COVID response is what's causing, in my opinion, a lot of the inflation. That's why prices are so inflated. They can blame supply chains. They can blame the money printing. They can blame corporate greed. But, well, that's the biggest issue. 38%. Joe Biden's going to deliver a State of the Union address. What's he going to do? Raise rates? Is he going to stop the spend? Is there anything he can do? We're going to find out. But the American people are certainly starting to notice Biden's going to face the nation with dismal reviews of his first year in office and the lowest job approval rating. Yeah, it provides a stark backdrop for that speech, no doubt about it. We can see it's not just that one poll or those two polls. The same pattern, the same trend exists wherever you look. This comes over from Real Clear Politics, and they sort of, assemble the polls. And so their polls are showing a 41.1% as of the date I took this screenshot, which was on February 25th, I believe it was. But you can see sort of this trend, right? You see these bubbles, and they're getting bigger. These circles that we're drawing here, we sort of see this gap. The circles are getting wider and wider and wider. And so the ebbs and flows seem like they're getting bigger and bigger and bigger as time goes on. So I'm not sure if it is rock bottom. This is over from 538. Nate Silver, of course, somebody you're seeing the same trends, right? The same patterns. We've got a small bubble here right after the crossover. Bubble, bubble, bubble. Now, he did kind of close up, right? So Biden has some good moments where the disapproval goes down and his approval goes up. But as we see, the overall trend is just down and down. The bubbles get bigger and bigger the further we go. And so President Biden, seeing poll numbers right in the toilet where they belong because they match his policies. And what we've seen here has been colossal failure after colossal failure. Doesn't really matter where you turn. Supreme Court has said that he's attempted to gobble up federal powers he didn't have with his mandates. He's failed in Afghanistan. The border's a mess. COVID deaths higher than under his predecessor. I mean, the whole thing is just a disaster. And we're just getting warmed up with World War III or wherever this leads us. And so let me know what you think about this down in the comments below. He's got the midterms coming up. He's got a State of the Union coming up. Trump is starting to speak up a lot more, taking a lot of glee in watching his neighbor fall off the roof. And I want to hear from you. Down in the comments below, right underneath that subscribe button, which I hope you hit, we have a live show that we do every weekday, and it's a lot more fun when you're there. I look forward to seeing you on the next one.